Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Cavallaro. Our next guest is currently starring in my favorite show on TV right now, The Righteous Gemstones, where Cassidy Freeman plays the wife of Danny McBride's fail son of a televangelist empire. Let's take a look.
I have so much fun doing things for others.
You do?
Yeah, of course I do. And I enjoy it because I don't expect to get nothing in return.
Well, you get stuff in return.
No, Victoria, that's not true.
We have a pretty nice house.
What, this whole thing?
You fly on private jets.
Well, the jets belong to the church, not us. But I see you. The devil just jumped right in you there for a second, didn't he? Made you challenge me. Hold on. It's okay. He's gone now. I can tell you're back to normal. Just don't let that happen again.
Everybody, please welcome Cassidy Freeman. Now, you just told me that was from the pilot. I swear, I've seen all of the episodes. I guess the pilot was about 5 or 6 weeks ago, and I just mistook that scene.
It looks like you might need to do some rewatching.
I know. I do my research, I swear. Your character is becoming more and more suspicious of her husband. I think against her own wishes as well. She desperately wants to not be suspicious.
Yeah, none of us. Yeah, none of us want to think that the people we love are lying to us.
The people we love who are also providing of a incredibly luxurious, powerful lifestyle.
What do you mean incredibly luxurious?
That's right, this old thing?
Right?
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite scenes from the pilot is when they pull into the estate and each of the sort of fail children of John Goodman go to their separate mansion on the estate.
It's absolutely ridiculous when you're watching that and you're like, oh. And then the amusement park. Right, and the shooting range and all the things.
I love that scene where,
it's beautiful comedy.
What is it like working with Danny McBride and Jody Hill and David Gordon Green, basically that whole crew who've produced, this is their third show together.
Yeah, they do a lot of things together. I mean, they do movies, they do
did Halloween as well.
Yeah, they think they're doing a bunch of those, yeah. It's, I mean, without sounding too dorky, it's like getting in the cool kids club. It really is. Like, they are this group of incredibly creative dudes, and now they pick people really well. You know what I mean? Like Edie Patterson, who plays Judy Gemstone, she writes on the show, and she
kind of became a writer, right? Because she was just I don't want to say just an actress, but she was a performer on Vice Principals, and then I was surprised that in the last episode her name popped up as written by.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's really like a troupe almost of comedians, of artists, of actors, and it's an honor to be a part of it.
Of a very specific sensibility, I think, as well.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
This is a kind of an obvious question, but is it hard not to break with Danny?
Oh man, it's it's actually, might be the hardest part of this job, is to keep a straight face. There's a part in the beginning of in the pilot when we're all at church lunch when Judy turns and she says, "Slap me too, Daddy. I'm a gemstone too." And I think John Goodman fell down a flight of stairs laughing so hard because that wasn't written, you know. And so those moments they're so fresh and they're so awesome.
One of my favorite moments was Danny McBride gets into a car chase with the people who are blackmailing him, which if you haven't I don't want to spoil who that is because if people aren't watching it yet. And it leads to a car accident, and you at this point have become so suspicious of him because he has a gun out, he's chasing this strange car, and you say, "What is going on?" And he turns to you and says, "These are just car pranks that me and my friends play."
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Would you believe that? I mean, are you believing him right now?
Oh, of course, absolutely not.
Oh, okay.
Do you think your character believes him?
I think, like you said, my character wants to believe him. I think not only because it will ensure her lifestyle and what she's become accustomed to, but also because it just is simpler if there really is nothing going on. But no, I think she definitely has her doubts, and I think you'll see that in the coming weeks.
Did you guys do any research into other sort of televangelist families or sort of?
Yeah, I mean, Danny's done a lot of research in this, and as he said, and you know, he grew up definitely in a more churchy world than say I did. But as a
Chicago, right? Yeah. Originally, yeah.
Yep, I grew up in Chicago, and I did not grow up going to church at all. So this is sort of a new thing for me, at least to learn about. But no, we didn't like go visit anything because, as he said, and I agree, the show is really about hypocrisy more so than specifically a certain religion.
Oh, of course, of course. I think that that hypocrisy tends to take place, though, within. I wouldn't even say a specific religion. I would say a specific brand or piece of a religion.
Absolutely. Yeah.
A sort of exploitative take on the religion.
Yeah.
We actually have seen like certain plot lines from the show play out with a religious family in this country in the last like few weeks.
Yeah.
Which has been pretty phenomenal. Have you been following that at all?
It's interesting how art imitates life and life imitates art. Yeah.
What was your audition for Danny and the guys like? Because you're not Southern, you're from Chicago, as you said.
Yeah.
Were you worried about that? They all live in North Carolina, are kind of from there.
Yeah, no, they all live in South Carolina.
Oh,
Not
South
all
Carolina.
Of them, but yeah, David does and Danny does, and Jody travels back and forth. No, I was eager to sort of get to know that world. I had never really even been to that part of the United States before, so it was an opportunity to get to know. And I love that we shoot there, and I love that we immerse ourselves in it. And Danny does a really great job, since he does live there year round, of making it feel like we're all kind of coming over to his house for summer camp.
Really?
He's like, yeah, come on over. Like, let's make this awesome TV show and I'll hang out. It's a very family feeling environment.
Do you ever really have that on a TV show, or is that a rarity?
No, I think you do. I think it's more common on a show that is not filmed where you live. Because you have the opportunity to sort of have that summer camp feel. You all live, you're all away from your families, you're away from your normal day-to-day, and so you lean on each other in a way to create that community. But yeah, if you're lucky, and I have been very lucky, all the shows that I've done have felt very familial.
Were you, so did you audition for the show, or were
I
you?
did.
You did?
Yeah.
Did you put on like a Southern accent? How did you go about the audition, having sort of not been from there or really portrayed someone from that part of the country before?
Right, yeah, well, the first audition, he was not there. It was just for the casting director, Sherry Thomas, and
she's a pretty big casting director, right? That's a very familiar name.
yeah, she is. She's done incredible stuff. She does The Handmaid's Tale. She did Vice Principals. She did the show, as well as many other things. And my first audition was just for her, and then I went to test. And when I went to test, she gave me the piece of information to maybe get my hair blown out like a Southern belle, which I did, and I think it only helped. But yeah, I think in auditions it's important to kind of hint at the things you think the character might have, such as an accent. But I didn't want to go overboard. I wanted to be able to, should I get the role, be able to sort of create that with the creators of the show.
Most of your scenes are with Danny, but there are so many other funny people in the show as well. Adam, Edie, Walton. Walton has, they gave Walton, sort of the TV moment of the year with Misbehavin'.
Yeah.
What did you think when you saw that? Were you on set that day while they were shooting that? It's just an incredible...
No, yeah, it's an incredible song. It's an incredible scene, and both of them are. Jennifer Nettles came in and totally just rocked us with her musical ability and her acting ability. And I think it's hard to come in and do a sort of a flashback episode like that, and then to hear the reprise with Judy and Walton, later. It's just first of all, no one could get that song out of their head.
I watch that video regularly.
Yes!
It makes me so happy.
Yes! I kind of want you to sing it right now, but I won't make you.
When Walton goes, and I got caught shaving, it makes me laugh so hard.
It definitely brings, music is a really, it's something that brings people together. And so to have something, a calling card as a song to the show like this, I think is really, really fun. And it was incredible to watch. And Edie and I practiced that dance a lot.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a roommate in South Carolina.
Oh, that's right. Because in the 2 episodes later, in the most recent episode, they do the song together as well, and she has to clog.
Yeah.
You're her roommate in South Carolina, and you were doing the dance with her.
Yeah, yeah. We would practice.
It was choreographed?
Yeah. Oh yeah. She had dancers that gave her videos, and we would be in the basement where we had a cement floor, and we would hook up the song to speakers, and I would play Walton's part, and then we would rehearse the dance. Yeah. We do this for each other. Yeah.
Did you get a kick out of that?
Oh,
was that just
absolutely.
a lot of fun?
Oh, so much fun. Yeah. Yeah. She and I and Tim, who plays BJ, we all live together. It's like Three's Company.
Which character is BJ? Excuse me.
Her fiance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Her fiance. Her
Yeah.
like wet
Yeah.
towel fiance.
Oh yeah.
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 What is the?
That's funny. What towel?
Well, that's the character.
Yeah. No, I know. It's
What is his job again? He's a pharmacist, or not even a pharmacist?
No,
He's
he
like
works in.
He's an optician. He
Yes.
works at Costco or something like that.
Yeah.
Selling glasses.
He works in the grocery store, not at the grocery store.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, daddy,
It's
in the
pretty good.
grocery
Yeah,
store, not at
daddy.
the grocery store.
Yeah.
What is? Can I ask? What is Edie Patterson like? She seems like a true original.
That actually, I think she'd love that you said that. She is a true original. She's a very unique human being, and she's become, one of my best friends in the world. But more than that, she's very talented, and she's very driven, and she knows what she wants. So, and it's cool to watch her work.
Oh, really? As a writer and as a performer?
As a performer, yeah. She does this show called One with the Groundlings, where it's literally just a show of her improvising alone. And I go to these events to see her, and I'm like sick with nerves for her, and she just shines. She's very talented. She is totally a unique being.
Did you know her before the show?
No.
So now you're both in LA, and you're going to see her perform all the time.
Yeah.
Because you're basically her best friend now.
Yeah. I mean, we're basically related now. Yeah.
What is it like working with John Goodman?
He is so kind and sometimes a little tough on himself, which I can admire, actually. I think we all, especially someone with his career, to still have that sort of self-check system, to ask himself, like, am I doing the best? Something that I love about him is that when we're all working together, he's not the first person to sort of go off script and improv, but I can tell that he gets kind of excited by it, and then it just feels like a family, And,
How often are you guys going off script and improvising?
Every day.
Every scene,
Every
basically?
scene. Every scene.
Have you found that a lot of the improvisations make it into the show as well?
Yeah, of certain people. Yeah, people.
Of certain people?
Uh-huh. Some people are very, very, I wouldn't say good at it, but it's like their, it's their sort of instinct to do that. But what I love is that the environment is that everyone can do it if they want to, and it's collaborative in that way.
Was it your instinct prior to this to do that, or was it something that you had to learn?
I think that it's something that comes sort of naturally to certain people. I definitely love doing it. Previously in the dramas that I've worked in, I don't know that it had a place to really go off, and I know there are also shows that are very strict about staying with script, and I respect that as well. But this to have the open door to be able to do that on this show is a total gift, and one that I'm really excited about.
Another face in the show that I wasn't really familiar with prior to the show, who's just incredible, is Tony Cavallaro.
Yeah.
Who plays, what's his character? Keith?
Yeah.
And the episode where we meet his sort of industrial goth family that he used to be with was near and dear to my heart as an industrial goth listener. I was like, I can't believe this show was going in this direction and showing these people.
Yeah, we want to represent as many people as we can.
What has it been like the way that they make him dress and look, and I imagine you guys laugh just when he shows up to set. It's just such a well-realized image of a character.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of laughter that happens like in the hair and makeup trailer before we even get on set because of his fake tattoos and just the really specific character things. And Danny's really good about letting us come in and be like, I have this weird idea. What if,
What if been
like his haircut, like the way that like Tony's like weird side shave. I remember that was talked about during the pilot, and Danny was like, "Yeah, that's a great idea." Like it's just wacky stuff, It's just yes, go for it.
Have you had stuff that you've come in with that you've been like, I think that can I try this?
No, I like to ask for forgiveness instead of permission. So I would like do something, and then I'd be like, I hope that was okay. And 9 times out of 10, Danny would be like, that was awesome, which is also really encouraging. It makes you feel like, you got your hand on the pulse.
I don't know. I know that it's primarily directed by Danny, David, and Jody, right?
So the pilot was directed by Danny.
Right.
Every other episode was directed by David and Jody, and they switched off.
They switch off.
Yeah.
I think that they have similar directorial styles, but I know that David likes to sort of throw stuff out from behind camera a lot of the time. And
Yeah.
he seems to be, as much as he adheres to the story, loves to find things in the moment and almost throw the actors off a little bit and stay in
Yeah.
the moment. What
God,
is
how do
that
you
like?
know that?
I've interviewed him several times.
Copy that. Okay,
I've
okay,
seen-
okay,
and
okay.
George Washington and All the Real Girls were like my favorite movies when I
Gotcha. Yeah,
You're a real nerd here.
Yeah, I love nerds. I got a really great piece of advice from Edie because she'd worked with him on Vice Principals before going in, and it was like, Dave, like you're gonna be in the middle of a scene, and David's gonna tell you to do something that sounds insane. Just do it. Like, don't question it. Don't question him. Don't question yourself. Just like dive fully into it. And it was great advice because he does do that, and they do have very different directing styles. Jody likes to see every side of the scene, and Jody also really likes to give you the opportunity to kind of do it your way, which is encouraging. And they may use it and they may not. Just that space and ability to take the time, to have the funds to take the time to be able to be creative in that way. Whereas David is pretty clear about what he wants, and I think sometimes you're right. I think he tells you to do something a little ridiculous to get you out of your head, to get you to stop planning, because magic doesn't really happen when you plan.
And then maybe get like some sort of weird cutaway that he can throw in as well. I think. I mean, I have no idea.
Yeah,
really,
no, absolutely. I think he also has done so much work that his mind is also working in an editing way, right? Like he's thinking like, ooh, how am I gonna end this? Like the end of episode 2, for example, where I'm playing the piano, and BJ's on the stairwell with Judy doing their thing, and there's like these weird interlays of like people's faces, come up sort of like in an almost like 80s montage or 70s like music video montage, And I remember Tim and Edie both being like, why are we doing these weird like close-ups, like what's happening right now? And then you see the actual, and there was a lot of me playing the piano, and I'm like, how is he gonna end this? And the whole thing is like a music video, and he's got it all going on in here, and you just have to trust and be like, okay.
Yeah, there's that sense, and I think a lot of directors don't. I mean, I don't know this for sure. Everybody talks about wanting to be in the moment, but there's few directors who are actually kind of like, well, let's just throw everything out of the window and force everybody to be in the moment and try to live there.
Well, yeah, I think I think there's so much fear, right?
Yeah.
And there's fear around like, what if this isn't good, or do we have enough money, or is someone, who's watching me? And I think something that's so special about this team that I'm grateful to be a part of is that they've done enough work to feel very confident. Not that they're always going to succeed, but that they've almost like earned themselves the space to play. And I think some people, you would call this comedy, but it's a different kind of comedy. It's so different. It has its own weird, like unique side to it. And one of the parts that I love the most about it is not only is it funny, but it like grabs you. You know what I mean? You'll be watching it and laughing and then want to cry and not really know why, because you're relating to it, or someone was superhuman in it, not superhuman,
Keith.
but Keith.
Keith is incredibly human. As much as he is
is.
a punchline every now and then, he's also, because he's so speechless, he's kind of the most human character on the show sometimes, because he just wants to do right for himself and for his friend who saved him.
And he's struggling, right? Yeah, like he's super struggling with identity, which is an interesting comparison to the rest of these people who supposedly know exactly who they are, even though their actions say differently. He's a great counter character for a lot of the righteousness of the rest of the family.
We mentioned Jody Hill, who's one of the directors of the show, who's also in the show.
Yes.
I don't think I've seen Jody in something since Foot Fist Way, which he was just amazing in. And it is so funny that he's in the show if you know who he is, because he has almost no lines and he just is suddenly in a scene sitting there.
Yeah.
And he doesn't look like an actor, or like he really knows how to be in a scene. And it's like my favorite part, one of my favorite parts of the show.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I also love the stuff between him and Danny, when Danny like makes fun of him, like when they're in the car before going into rim time to get like to get the video.
We beat up that guy at rim time.
Yeah, and Jody, and he's like, and Danny's just bullying Jody, and when you know their friendship, it's a hilarious thing.
You keep mentioning like being a part of this team and working with this group. Does it really feel like an insular team more so than other projects that you've been on? And like once you get involved, you kind of just really want to stay and be around it?
Yeah, I mean, I think every project you sort of have that awkward moment where everyone's getting to know each other, and you're like, oh hi, what are you into? Where are you from? All of that. When I came in, at least to this team, so many of them already knew each other that it was more like we're gonna put attention on you and be like, welcome, and there's not as much figuring out to do. Right. You're sort of just invited to be a part of it. So that's the different feeling of that. And I also think that in comedy, if there's a scene going on that I'm not in, they're like, "Oh, you come to set to see to see the thing that you're not in, but it's going to be hilarious," And that's always a welcome invitation to be there and to be part of it, which is really cool.
When have you done like when has there been a moment where you've been like, okay, I've got to go to set, I've got to see this even though I'm not in it?
Well, yeah, I mean, you want to see your friends do things that are difficult, like the misbehaving stuff, and you want to see like the big production stuff. The stunts are sometimes really cool to go see and very unique. A lot of those though happen in the middle of the night, which is difficult to get to. And I think part of it too is not just what I want to see, but also like I want to support. I want to show up and let my fellow cast members know that like I'm there for them.
Well, that's true because this type of work, as much as fun as it is, when people go in, they're not just hitting their mark and dropping exposition and then getting out of there and going to their trailer.
Right.
They are being asked to do and to perform and sort of be present in a way that I think a lot of other productions or TV shows might not ask them to be. So support, I'm sure, is extremely warranted and welcome.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, like if I'm on a show and I have to go do like a difficult scene, right? I actually don't want to be around anyone, right? I kind of want to be in my own thing. I want to like focus in on what I have to do, reach whatever emotional place I'm trying to reach, and then go in there and sort of like, blinder it and make it happen. This is really different. Sometimes you almost need those friends and that camaraderie around to keep you in that place of going for it and playing. And so, if it's 2 a.m. and you can show up and do that for your friends, it's kind of a cool thing to do.
What is it like to play this woman who is in many ways I don't want to say the antithesis, but the opposite, and I mean that is the same thing as antithesis, excuse me, of I think women that we laud and women that we really talk about as being empowered and having agency. This character wants agency, but at the same time, everything is restricting her from having it, including herself and her actual surface wants.
Right. Yeah, I think a good question would be like, what is...
I'm asking the questions.
I'm going to answer your question with a question. What is empowerment, right? And what does that mean to you? And how do we define that? And how do we identify that? And is a woman who's empowered have a career? Or is a woman who's empowered, can a mom be empowered? Can a wife of a pastor be empowered? And I think that as the season ends, which I won't spoil anything, you'll see that Amber and Judy and Tiffany and all the women in this show are much more complex than maybe we think they are, or that the role they're playing is. Amber Gemstone knows exactly the role she's supposed to play.
Yes.
And she chose that. And it is restricting in some ways, given what she believes in terms of her religion or her place in the home. Baby, can I speak? All of that. That is in part, a joke, to make people laugh, but there's truth there. And I think that's what makes it really interesting when you do see her shift throughout the season and hopefully seasons into something.
Well, you've already gotten a season 2, right? There's going to be a season 2. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
I can't wait. When do you start shooting it? Do you know?
Right now, I think they're calling us back around February.
Oh, congrats. I can't wait to watch more of the show.
Me too.
Let's go to the audience for a couple questions. Who has a question?
Hi.
Hi.
I was just wondering what your most memorable day on set of the show was.
Whew. My most memorable day on The Righteous Gemstones. Honestly, this is probably going to embarrass Danny if he ever sees this, but there was a day, and it may have been the clip that we saw. It may not be the most memorable, but it's what came to me. When I did that Jesus thing, and I was like quite nervous, to be honest, because this is my first time sort of being with them. And I walked into the video village where everyone was like watching the monitors, and Danny didn't see that I came in, and he was saying something really sweet. He was like, "Man, she killed it, didn't she? That was so good." And there was like this moment where I almost wanted to sort of like back out of the room and like make sure he never saw me, because I just wanted to hold on to that. Of course, every writer in the room then was like, "Oh, Cassidy's right there," and he was embarrassed, and it's fine. But to know that you're doing something that's in line with the idea of the show. Other than that, when a car is flipping over and over and over again in the middle of the night, and in the dead of night, yeah, that's also pretty memorable.
Oh, we haven't even mentioned another cast member who was so great on the show, who plays your son. Excuse me for forgetting his
Skylar?
Skylar, yes,
Yeah.
who we just saw recently in Booksmart, and he was in a show that I can't remember the name of, with Timothy Olyphant and Drew Barrymore. He's extremely funny.
Santa Clarita Diet.
Yeah, the Santa Clarita Diet. Thank
Yeah.
you. You should be on this side of the stage.
No, that's okay. That's going to be the next hour. We're going to do that.
He is so funny. What is it like
Yeah.
working with him?
He's a darling.
Yeah.
He's an absolute darling. You know, is he young enough to be my son? I don't know. But he's very attractive, so I'm very happy that he's come from me. He's also incredibly kind, and I love his humor because it feels, it's not dry, but it's earnest. And I love how earnest it is. You know, if all of us were the same type of comedian or actor, comedic actor, it wouldn't be interesting, right? And I think
That is true.
he has a great balance to Scott MacArthur, who plays Scotty, and also to Danny. You know, Danny can go off on some tyrant on him, and Skylar's just like got that straight, sweet face, which
Well,
works.
Scotty, Scott MacArthur, is that the actor's name?
Yeah.
Is clearly, story-wise, a stand-in for Danny. It's the father figure that Skylar's character didn't have, and he searched for it in this man who's almost exactly like Danny McBride's character, but just wasn't born as successful as Danny McBride.
Right.
You could see them switching roles very easily.
Well, that's interesting that you say that. I've never even actually thought of that. But what's also interesting, if you follow that line of thinking, is that Skylar's chosen him as sort of his like anti-family family, right? Like, why do we keep choosing the things that? Why do we keep choosing the same pattern almost in hopes to like maybe heal it or figure it out? But
we think we're
that's it.
rebelling, but we're actually just sort of dropping
Right.
ourselves into the same ditch.
Right.
over and over
exactly.
again.
Yeah.
One more question.
Hi.
Hi.
We have an online question from our site, buildseries.com.
Yeah.
Do you have any crazy audition stories from before your first big break?
Yeah. I have a lot of crazy audition stories.
Do you feel like big break is such an interesting phrase that I think people throw at actors?
Yeah.
Because I don't think any actor feels like they ever got a big. Maybe if you were the star of Risky Business in 1983, you're like, I got
Right.
I looked out and got a big break there.
Or if somehow you were unknown and then got onto some sort of like trilogy, right?
Yes, exactly.
And then like catapulted. Thank you for that question. I agree with you. Big break that's sort of the same idea as like overnight success, right? Like, you're actually working for a long time.
Right, it's
and
like you finished shooting Gemstones, and you're like, that was amazing. I really hope they pick it up for season 2.
Right.
Because I want to work there.
Right. There's
again, and I
there's
wanna
never
work.
really an end to like that feeling of like, I hope this keeps going. That being said, before I was maybe comfortable with auditioning, there were definitely some really scary moments where I've actually had like quite large casting directors say such things to me as like, what's going on here? Or, oof, you need to work on that. Or, maybe come back when we're not so green. And even though that sounds tough, I appreciated their honesty. And I also was excited about the fact that maybe that meant I became like the most improved player when I came back a year later, and I wasn't terrible.
What's going on with that?
Yeah, that was a really good one. Yeah, it's brutal. It sometimes can be pretty brutal out there.
Did you know at the time that did you feel green and feel like uncomfortable when you were going in for these auditions, or was it a shock when a casting director said something like that?
No, I knew. I absolutely knew. I've been doing this since I was a little kid, but I grew up in the theater, and I think going in for film and television auditions was really scary at first. I didn't have fun doing it. I wasn't being joyful, which is kind of like a big part of this.
Confidence.
Confidence, yeah, and also kind of like, like a who cares attitude. Not like a who cares, like I don't care about what I'm doing, but sort of like a, I gotta walk in there and just let what happens happen.
Well, it's the only way you can play.
Yeah, exactly. And if I'm sitting here worried that like I'm wearing the wrong thing, or that person in the waiting room that looks like me and is my age is gonna do it better, all of those mind games that you play, that stuff gets in the way. What if I got this movie with Don Cheadle? My life would be different forever. It won't be. Your life is your life, and all of these opportunities are either yours or they're not, and you gotta like go in there and do your best, and then kind of let it go as best you can.
Right, it's one of those things that's like, even if you got the movie with the biggest star in the world, right? Your life would be different for 2 months.
Exactly.
And then it's unclear if it would go back to being what it was before, or if it would be as different as you'd hoped it would be after the shoot.
You don't
know what's going to happen
stay
with
in
the
the
movie.
chocolate factory. You get to lick a wall, and then you have to leave, and then maybe you'll get another golden ticket. No one's sure.
I knew what the analogy was. At first, but I don't think I knew enough to not have lick a wall sort of take me back. And then got it.
I try to work lick a wall into every interview. It's a thing I have.
Check it off when you get back.
Done.
Cassie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for
Congrats on
having
the
me.
Righteous Gemstone.
Thank you.
I love the show so much. It's on Sunday or Monday nights on HBO.
Sunday service.
Sundays. Cassidy Freeman, everybody. Let's hear it.